welcome back to our symposium here at Parsons. We are talking about writing and reading histories of graphic design pedagogy today. This is the second session. The first session, which we called reading, we kicked off with Jeff Kaplan and then went on to Chris Lee, Audrey Bennett, and J. Dakota Brown. Everything we're doing here is recorded and will be on Parsons Communication Design YouTube channel. So just if you did miss the first part, don't be dismayed. We have it up there, or we will have it up there. My name is Juliette Cezzar. I'm an associate professor here at Parsons. I came from architecture, and then I got my MFA in graphic design from Yale in 2002. I came into the full-time faculty here as director of the BFA Communication Design and BFA Design and Technology programs in 2011. And since then, me and my colleagues here have wrestled with the problem of providing a real education in this field, in this time and place. When I first heard about the conference that Jeff Kaplan had organized in 2019, I was super excited about it because I've been wanting to read and write about the history of graphic design education for a long time. And here already was this incredible assemblage of voices that were reflecting on the period from between the Bauhaus and the start of the internet. And later, when Jeff and I were talking about what we could do at Parsons around the book, I thought it could be a good opportunity to present a few perspectives from the book, which we had this morning, but then also to open outwards from that period to the part that interests me most, which is what happened after the internet and what happened after a whole series of changes that happened. So why I'm interested in this, I happened to graduate with a Bachelor of Architecture in 1996. This is the same year that the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal started their first websites. And when I started graduate school at Yale in 2000, it was clear that something had already massively shifted at that point. A lot of the stories that you heard this morning about the bibliographies, about the things like those things were not gone, but they were changed. We were in a new building. Everything was being questioned at the time. We were past that reaction to or extension, depending on your perspective, to modernism. Like we were just in a new space. This was a little bit post.com boom as well. So we were in this new thing. The internet was there. It was not quite as omnipresent as it is now. Like we didn't have phones in our pockets. We didn't have all of those things, but it was just kind of hanging there like a threat. You know, like it was just sitting there, and everyone kept calming us down saying, like, don't worry, it's just another medium. It's fun. It's going to be great. And we were excited. And, we thought it was exciting as a medium as well. And we did a lot of things in school, but it was pretty clear that something really significant had changed. So once I started teaching, it was really clear that the internet was not going to be just another medium. Joan Achman in the book Architecture School points to three big externalities that have come to pass in the last 25 years. I think all of them are particularly relevant to graphic design: globalization, marketization, and digitization. These forces completely changed who went to design school, why they went to design school, how they paid for it, and what they did once they were there. So I asked each of the people we invited this afternoon to respond with an idea, a story, a perspective about what changed for design education after the internet. We're going to begin with James Che, in part because he's in Korea and it's the middle of the night in Korea right now. And then he's going to be followed by my colleague, Kelly Walters, and then we'll hear from David John Walker. I'm very excited to have him here because he's been in so many different contexts. And after their presentations, we'll have a discussion and then we'll have a break. And then once we're back from our break, we'll hear from Yeju Choi from Yale, Eris Sharon from St. John's here in Queens, and Brendan Griffiths, who was the inaugural director of our MPS program here in Parsons. And our hope here was that people could be representing very different perspectives from very different institutions and things, like just to really be thinking about some of these larger overarching questions, though, because they do affect all of us, everything from admissions to what goes on in the classroom, to social media, to how students judge what is good design. All of these things are shot through with all of these different places. And then we'll end with one final discussion with the last three. So I do want to make one final note here before we start, just about genealogies. Graphic design is a really funny term. Most of the business creative world uses it as a pejorative. It's the thing that's lesser than whatever anybody else is doing. So if it's it's a neat box that you can put around brochures, birthday cards, coupons, things like that. And it's kind of meant to say like, well, what I do is more important than that. The graphic designers over there. Academically, it's really interesting because it's the term that's favored by art schools that are considered to be like the elite art schools, and it's meant to denote being above a certain kind of above the riffraff, above commercial design, of which like even that sort of technological view of design is sometimes considered to be a part. So if you went to a program that calls itself graphic design, as I did, it's a pretty good chance you're a child of Joseph Albers in some way, who started the first program with the name graphic design in the United States at Yale in 1950. This is a very specific and sometimes insular world. It is also the one that does carry hope, though, that graphic design could establish itself as a discipline, and does hope for a pedagogy that can reach into the future. But if this is going to happen, we have to understand history not as a nostalgia, not as a brand story, but as a story that explains how we got here, who we are, and what is the context in which we do our work now. And I'll leave you with one quote, which I guess, I don't know, it comes in and out of fashion in my head, but George Orwell says, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past." And so in the ways that we write and read our own history as a discipline, as a field, that's how we actually determine what it is and what it's going to be moving forward. And with that, I want to go to James Che.